Grant Solomon was 18 years old the morning. He called his mother and told her he did not want to die in Gallatin that day. She thought he meant his lungs. He had been sick. He was still recovering. He was on his way to baseball practice. She heard fear in his voice and assumed it was the ordinary fear of a young athlete pushing a body that had not fully healed. A few hours later, he was dead in a parking lot outside Grace Christian Academy in Franklin, Tennessee. Authorities called it an accident. His pickup truck, they said, had rolled down an incline and pinned him underneath. There was only one witness, his father. By the time first responders arrived, the truck was already parked, and the only person who could explain the critical minutes had already left the scene. The official investigation closed the case. A tragic accident. A terrible Monday morning in July. Grant's mother could not accept that. She went back through every detail. The phone call, the timeline, the truck, the parking lot, the man who had been alone with him. Then Grant's sister Gracie began to speak. What she revealed turned the story of a random accident into something far darker, something the family had been forced to keep silent about for years. Grant Solomon was the kind of person people described as an old so-long before they ever used that phrase for anyone else. He talked early. As a baby, his mother would set a stack of books in his playpen, and he would work through them one by one, moving each finished book to a separate pile. He grew into a 6'4", 210-pound pitcher, with 6 different pitches thrown from 5 different stances. He taught himself. He was a national merit semifinalist. He fronted a Christian band. He checked on people he had just met through Snapchat or Instagram because he genuinely cared whether they were okay. His girlfriend Hannah first noticed him at a pottery place painting with his mother and sister and thought it was remarkable that a varsity athlete would choose to spend an afternoon that way. His teammates said he was the one who always knew when someone needed a laugh. His sister said he was her protector. His mother said he was the heart and soul of the family. He was also the boy who grew up watching his father control every aspect of their lives and who learned, far too young, that the rules other people lived by did not apply inside the house. Aaron Solomon had been a polished sports anchor in Nashville, a public face people trusted. The version of him the community saw was credible and well-connected. The version Angie describes is something else entirely. She met him in 2001. They had been dating 6 weeks when she became pregnant. Her parents pushed a marriage. Aaron pushed it. She was 20. Grant was born June 13, 2002. Gracie followed in 2006. From the beginning, the control was total. Aaron put his name on the house Angie already owned and on the vehicle she already owned. He took over the finances, even though she was the one working as a pharmacist, and he was not. He controlled the debit cards, the car keys, the food, what was cooked, who she spoke to when she went to the doctor or the dentist or the gynecologist. He had to be present for every appointment. He isolated her from family and friends. He told Grant when he was allowed to use the bathroom, and if the boy could not perform on command, he had to wait until the next day. Grant was so terrified, he was afraid to go at school in case his father somehow found out. Angie had said the control was so complete that the independent, intelligent, outgoing woman she had been was stripped down to nothing while 2 small children watched it happen. By the time Grant was 7, Angie had already discovered Aaron was cheating. She knew she needed professional help. Aaron made that impossible. He went with her everywhere. Errands, hair appointments, every space where she might have spoken privately to another person. The only therapy he would allow was couples therapy, where he sat in a room for every word. A therapist eventually diagnosed Angie with post-traumatic stress disorder. Part of it traced to her own difficult childhood. The years with Aaron had made it worse. In January 2011, Aaron left his anchor position at WSMV Nashville. His version is that he left voluntarily. Angie's account is that he had already been caught with inappropriate material on a work device and walked away without criminal consequence. Whatever the truth, he returned to the house in Franklin where his 9-year-old son and 4-year-old daughter were waiting. A pattern that had already been identified outside the family had produced no lasting consequence. A man had learned he could be caught and still walk free. Gracie first told her mother about the abuse when she was 4 or 5. She said she was no longer comfortable seeing a male doctor because it reminded her of how her father touched her. She told Angie in a bathroom because the house was watched and she was scared. Violence had entered the home after Gracie's birth. At night after the children were in bed, Aaron would beat Angie or threaten her. He told her that if she ever told anyone what was happening, she would never see her children again. In 2012, Gracie told her mother again what was being done to her. Angie confronted Aaron. He did not deny it. He threatened that if she spoke, he would take the kids. She began working with a psychiatrist who ran a quiet network for domestic violence victims. They built a plan of escape. She kept a daily record on her phone. One afternoon, she left the phone at home by accident. When she returned, Aaron had read the notes. The phone was floating in the toilet. He told her he had warned her what would happen if she ever told anyone. On the night of May 9th, 2013, Aaron wrapped a hairdryer cord around Angie's neck. Grant was in the room. He may have saved her life, simply by being present. Afterward, Angie and Grant decided together they would not tell anyone, because telling meant Grant would likely have to testify against his father, and Aaron had already made clear what he would do if anyone talked. That same day, Aaron called Angie's parents in a local hospital and told them she had attempted to take her own life. She had not. The admitting physician spoke with her outpatient psychiatrist, who confirmed a plan was already in place to help her leave safely with the children, and that she was not suicidal. The hospital's own written report stated she was not a danger to herself. She was taken to the hospital anyway based on what Aaron told them. While she was there, staff advised her to seek a restraining order and file for divorce. She was afraid moving too fast would give him the opening he had threatened to use. On May 11th, she came home. Grant and Gracie were gone. Aaron had taken them. That is also the day the monthly payments from his aunt's multi-million-dollar trust began, $100,000 arriving for the first time on the same day. He removed the children. Angie reported a kidnapping to Metro Nashville police. She described the abuse, the threats, the cord around her neck, the missing children. The report was dismissed. She was told there was nothing that could be done. On May 15th, she found a lawyer and learned Aaron had already filed for divorce and an order of protection listing himself and the children as the parties who needed protection from her. The man who had allegedly strangled her, taken the children, and threatened her into silence for years had filed paperwork describing her as a threat. He had done it before she even had counsel. At the end of May, one day after returning the children, Aaron woke them at 5 in the morning and drove away with them again. Months would pass before Angie saw them. The divorce hearing went badly. The judge did not credit her account. Her own father and sister testified against her. Aaron had put a lock on Grant's bedroom door, not to keep Grant in, but to keep him from reaching his sister when something was happening. The judge ordered a forensic mental health evaluation of Angie, chose who would conduct it, then threw the report out when it confirmed she was a capable, loving mother. Aaron was awarded custody. A judge later barred Angie from filing any legal motions against Aaron for 6 years, the end date tied to Gracie's 18th birthday. That judge had personal ties to the pastor, who had already helped bury the abuse allegations. February 2014 was the first time Angie was allowed to see the children after losing custody. Their physical condition made clear they had not been properly cared for. Later that year, Gracie told her the sexual abuse had never stopped. In March 2015, Angie was arrested. She believes it was to stop her from speaking publicly about what Gracie had told her. From 2015 through 2018, the family strategy was survival. Keep Aaron calm. Give him no reason to escalate. Both children made clear they wanted to live with their mother. In 2018, Angie went to Grace Christian Academy and told the director of campus safety and the headmaster what was happening. The pastor of Grace Chapel was asked to meet with Grant. The pastor has said publicly that Grant only spoke about wanting to be closer to God. Grant's girlfriend says that is a lie. Grant is not here to say. Early that May, Angie went to Williamson County Sheriff Jeff Long. A forensic interview was scheduled. Both children sat down with a social worker and described the abuse in detail on camera. The interview was dismissed. The recorded video was set aside. In August, Gracie and Aaron stopped at a hotel after a baseball tournament. She asked for her own bed. He booked one room with one bed. She texted her mother that she was scared. The next day, there was a custody hearing. Gracie recorded a video describing what had happened the night before and brought it to court. The judge did not watch it. Aaron said it never happened. The judge believed Aaron. The judge also did not watch the earlier forensic interview video. For 4 more weeks, the children went home with Aaron. At the next hearing, the judge finally watched part of the forensic video. The initial ruling favored Angie. Then the judge revised it. Gracie could stay with her mother. Grant, the judge said, was a big boy who could take care of himself. He was 17. Aaron continued to control every part of his life, intercepting college acceptance letters so Grant never saw them, and telling him the only school worth attending was Harvard. In February 2019, Angie filed again for sole custody. The judge dismissed the case and barred her from filing further motions for 6 years, calling her an abusive litigant. By 2020, Grant was 18. For most people, that age means freedom. For Grant, it meant he was finally old enough to file for custody of Gracie himself. He had begun the legal process. That is a context for the morning of July 20th, 2020. He and Aaron drove separately to a baseball training facility called Ward Performance Institute in Gallatin. They arrived just before 9. Grant had recently recovered from COVID. His lungs were still not fully healed. He had told people close to him he did not feel ready to train. He did not want to be there. People who knew him said he had an unusually strong instinct about things. That morning, he felt something was wrong. He went anyway. What happened in that parking lot in the next hour is the question that has never been answered. The official record and the physical evidence are not the same thing. The only adult witness is the same person Grant had spent years trying to get away from, the same person whose custody he was in the process of challenging, the same person every adult in this story had chosen to believe over his own children. Aaron's account, at least one version of it, is that they parked on the hill. Grant got out to walk toward the back of the truck for his equipment. Aaron glanced away to check a work email, and when he looked up, the truck had rolled backward into a ditch with Grant underneath it. The facility later confirmed neither Aaron nor Grant had an appointment that morning. Grant did not keep his equipment in the back of the truck. He kept it in the back seat. One of the baseball bats that was always in the truck was missing after his death and has never been found. For Aaron's story to be true, Grant would have had to be struck while standing in the parking lot and dragged approximately 60 feet across concrete into a rocky ditch. There should have been blood in the parking lot. There was not. When first responders arrived, the truck was in park. Aaron's explanation requires that Grant forgot to put in park. Either Grant somehow put in park after being run over and dragged 60 feet, or someone else did. Aaron has never been required to answer that question under oath. Less than a month after Grant's death, Angie hired a private investigator. She gained access to the incident report, the police crash report, the medical examination report. Everything reinforced what the physical evidence already suggested. She also recorded Aaron. In nearly an hour of footage, he describes the position of Grant's body as under the passenger side. The police report and scene photographs place the body under the driver's side. He talks about testing whether the truck could pop out of park and shift gears on its own, as though that might explain what happened. A vehicle in park does not spontaneously shift into reverse. When the question of a mechanical examination arose, he refused. Grant's phone was present at the scene and then gone. Life 360 data shows someone had the phone throughout the day. It was returned to Angie that evening destroyed. Angie tracked down the truck after Aaron sold it to a scrapyard and filed an insurance claim saying it was totaled. He collected the payout. The truck was not totaled. She purchased it herself in April 2021 and had 2 full forensic examinations performed. There were no mechanical issues that would have caused the vehicle to roll backward on its own. Nothing. No fault in the transmission, no failure in the parking mechanism, no defect of any kind. If you're still watching this, take a second right now and subscribe. Drop a comment with what you think happened in that parking lot. The official case is closed. The questions are not. Your attention is part of what keeps this story from disappearing. In September 2020, Gracie tried to get a restraining order against Aaron. It was denied. He told her he was enforcing visitation, whether she wanted it or not. In October, Angie had a friend file a motion in juvenile court on Gracie's behalf. Because Angie herself was still barred from filing, Gracie made a video titled Gracie's Story, a cry for help, and posted it publicly. She described the abuse in her own words. The court's response was to place her in the custody of the Department of Children's Services for several months. She had asked to live with her mother and be safe. The system removed her from her mother's home. Later, the state of Tennessee itself substantiated the claims of sexual abuse. That is a legal finding. It is not an allegation. It says Aaron Solomon sexually abused his daughter during the years he had sole custody. No criminal charges followed. Aaron's response to the growing public attention was to file a defamation lawsuit against Angie in March 2022. The case file still says accident. The truck that was never examined by authorities, the black box that was never pulled, the parking lot that was never treated as a crime scene, the only witness who was questioned for a few minutes and allowed to leave. All of it remains exactly where Aaron left it. Grant had told people in the days before his death that he was afraid of his father. He told his mother the morning he died that he did not want to die in Gallatin. The physical evidence at the scene does not match the account of the only witness. The family is still waiting for someone with the authority and the independence to look at what they have gathered and ask the questions that were never asked. There is a petition asking for the case to be reopened. There is a nonprofit called Grant's Army. There is a website called Freedom for Gracie built by teachers and neighbors and parents who watched this family get turned away by every official channel and decided to become the channel themselves. Gracie Solomon is still alive. She is still in Tennessee, living with her mother. She is still afraid. The substantiation finding did not result in an arrest. The insurance fraud has not produced charges. The defamation lawsuit still hangs over Angie's head. The case remains closed. The truck Angie bought back from the scrapyard and examined twice does not support the official story. Neither does the missing bat, the destroyed phone, the body position that contradicts the only witness, the truck that was in park when it should not have been, the appointment that never existed, the college letters that were intercepted, the forensic interview that was dismissed, the video that was never watched, the 6-year bar on filing motions, the pastor whose account contradicts the people who love Grant, the judge with personal ties, the system that told his family repeatedly that their claims lacked merit while the state's own records eventually said otherwise. Grant Solomon spent 18 years being the person everyone around him needed him to be, the friend who called at the right moment, the brother who stayed, the son who watched his mother survive something most people cannot name and still showed up to baseball practice. He was carrying the knowledge of what his home was and doing it quietly the way children in those situations learn to do. On the morning he died, he told his mother he did not want to die in Gallatin. She thought it was about his lungs. He went anyway because the pressure from his father left him feeling he had no real choice. By 9:28 that morning, he was gone. One version of events is on the record. The blood, the tire marks, the body, the phone, the glasses, the missing bat, the truck that refused to explain itself, and the man who has never been required to answer under oath all refused to support that version. The case is still closed. The family is still waiting. And the question that has driven everything they have done since that morning is the same question the official account has never answered. Why was Aaron the only one there? And why has no other power to force an answer ever forced it?